to the chess club.
That's most definitely what's up.
Death to all of them.
I'm never gonna financially recover from this.
We're aiming for a controversial 7 out of 10.
Assassins, Creed Valaha.
But something's wrong with the game.
That's most definitely what's up.
Welcome everyone. We're back. We do be back. Welcome. I've missed you all desperately, but I have returned. and I'm here for it. Hopefully you are too. Otherwise, you wouldn't be hearing this. You take a vacation? Sure did. Went to the tropical paradise that is the middle of nowhere, Minnesota. And it was very nice. We had a very good time. It's always a pretty good reset. Didn't do a lot of the things I thought I would do, but it was still good. It was still good. And now we're back. We're rejuvenated. I've got a bit more of a farmer's tan. Yeah, baby. See that? See that right there? Sour cream is what that is. So yeah, we're here, we're rocking and rolling, we're gonna have a good time. Getting back into the swing of things. I've been looking forward to today for the last week, because I just honestly, like, I just love streaming and I love hanging out with all of you. And it felt weird. Honestly, part of the reason the vacation might have felt a little weird was because I wasn't streaming. Like, this is part of how I reset. And the thing is, I mentioned this in that Black Myth Wukong little stream clip we did. Part of the ways that I like relax and socialize with people, part of what recharges my battery is talking about video games. Something I'm passionate about, you know? And I realized I was on a vacation with people that don't play video games, and in fact, like, are actively opposed to it, because most people out there, like, video games are not a thing that you play or talk about. It's like kind of, they're like 30, 40 years behind the curve, right? And like, I'm not joking. One time we were all out, like, there was like a crab boil, which is always great. It's awesome. But they're doing that, and then like all the guys huddled up and all the girls went over and huddled up elsewhere. So I was like, okay, I'll hang out with the guys, I guess. So I go over with the guys, and I'm not joking. They were just talking about their favorite breed of corn to grow in their fields. And I was like, I'm down for, like, this is a beautiful part of America that I'm not familiar with, but I have like nothing to contribute to that conversation, right? Like, no part of me knows anything about what type of corn will do best considering my field's layout. Like, I have no idea. I thought I was in a movie. So, and like, there were a lot of other things kind of like that. And of course, a lot of them are much older, so they're all talking about either the Catholic Church, or they're talking about, like, you know, the good old days. And so it was a little weird. It was a little weird, but there were still some people. My buddy Trevor was there. We had a good time and went out on the pontoon, went fishing, did some stuff like that. So by no means was it bad. It was just, every time I go, there's sort of like a good humbling perspective switch, where you get out of your bubble here and then you go to a place that is totally different. And it's always like, okay, yeah, no, this is the other chunk of the country that I'm just not, I don't interact with on the regular, you know, but it's always really interesting. But you can tell they look at me and my family as like the city slickers, you know, they look at us and they're like, ugh, you know, it's just funny. It's just funny. Anyway, we're back. Sounds like Minnesota for sure, or North Dakota. Yeah, it's like, it's really good. It's really good. Don't get me wrong, but yeah, it always somehow still shocks me, which is just funny. I definitely didn't play Farming Sim on most of my time off this weekend. Irox, see, that's funny because so we have this family friend. I won't say like his name or anything, but we have this family friend who's like a cop, okay? Like, straight shooter, very dry when you meet him, right? Kind of intimidating, you know, the type. And you'll talk with him and he's just like staring into your soul. Well, one time we were at like a family function and there were drinks. So he had some drinks and it loosened him up a lot. And he got like so relaxed with the booze that like that mask came off and he starts talking to me about how much he loves Red Dead Redemption 2, about how much he loves Farm Simulator and how he can't play enough of it. And now he has to play it at night so his wife doesn't see because he's afraid that she's going to make fun of him. And it was like, bro, like let your inner geek out. Like it's totally cool with me. But you can tell like he's like deeply closeted gamer, which is just funny. But I think there's a lot of people like that who just don't talk about it. You know, they keep it locked down. But it made me love him so much more, you know? It's like you're playing like the geeky of the geek things. He's also like a giga nerd. He like makes models. This is all hidden in his basement. Or like in a tucked away room, but he makes like models of like the Death Star. Even so far as like he gets the big magnified goggles and then he runs filament, like fiber optic filament through the model to stick out and to be the little white light, like light shining through windows on the space station or floodlights or something. Like big 3 foot wide models of the Death Star. Like he's crazy. He's crazy, but awesome. I'm like, see, that's interesting. That's great. You should tell me more about that. That's fascinating. Oh. Yeah. Farm Sim is just an amazing, relaxing game you can turn your mind off to, which is why I play. Oh yeah, we've all got games like that where, like, honestly, for me, that's like Stronghold Crusader or Factorio. You know, games like that where you just turn your brain off and you just vibe, you know? I'm vibing! That's what you gotta do. That's what you gotta do. Oh, you know what we gotta do as well? I guess this can be a segment, Jacob. We got a package, ladies and gents. Let me see. Yeah, this is working. We got a package. You ready? I wonder what it could be. Ooh. Ooh. I wonder. No, it's not a Warhammer model. That would be funny if it were. Like, you're gonna watch me open this, so I have an excuse to buy more. No, it is not a Warhammer model. This is something that we've been working towards for a long time. This is something, I mean, I remember when we started this Luke Stevens Live YouTube channel, it was just like a fun little side thing. Because I was like, I want to do more streams, but I can't really justify spending 20 hours a week or 30 hours a week or 40 hours a week streaming and just like when I could be doing other stuff, you know? And so I was like, maybe this will eventually turn into something that's self-sustaining. Maybe the live channel can get to the point where whether we do clips and ads or membership subs, whatever, it's sustainable where I can pay like Jacob to help run it. And so we ate the cost for a good long while, but like middle of last year, I believe it started actually being self-sustaining, and now it's actually turned a profit. So Luke Stevens Live now is like right up there with the main channel in terms of performance in most months. Like the views over here are crazy. Trevor, my short form editor, has been working his butt off on shorts and TikToks. Jacob's been working his butt off getting all of the stream all the stream clips and stuff put up, so there's lots of stuff to see and watch all the time. So this has been a group effort through and through, but it's finally here. So inside, it's been going on like 5 years. Probably just over 5 years since I did this before with that other plaque you see. And it basically has a letter inside from the CEO of YouTube, Neil Mohan. And it just has a little bit of congratulatory stuff, like good work. Do you remember your 100th subscriber, your 1000th? Chances are you do, and we know you'll definitely remember your 100,000th subscriber. All sorts of stuff like that. And then inside is the coveted play button for the Luke Stevens Live channel. There she is. Make sure I spelled everything right. There it is. Booyah. Booyah. And now we officially have two play buttons. I don't know where I'm gonna put it. I guess here maybe? Put Cyberpunk up there. Move this guy around. That. We'll get like an actual stand for him. Yeah, anything. Yeah. But there it is. We did it, ladies and gents. We did it. So thank you all for the support. Thank you for making this possible. Thank you all. It's very humbling, and we're very, very appreciative. And here's to 1 million. You know, there was a time when we started working on the live stuff that we were like, maybe one day we'll have people that watch mainly for the live stuff, and the main channel will be kind of a secondary thing. It won't be the main channel. It'll be like the long form channel, and then this will be its own thing. And we're actually kind of getting there. Like there's a lot of people out there. Some of you might be here who primarily watch the live channel and don't watch really anything on the main channel or long channel, whatever. And with how things are growing and changing, I mean, we very well could get to the point where the live channel, it's kind of like the bread and butter, which is crazy. It's just wild. Oh, man. But here we are.
Mendez is now a member. Congratulations, sir. And glad to hear you enjoyed your vacation. But don't ever leave us again.
I don't think I could. I don't think I could do like a month break or a 2-week break. Like I was just going stir crazy. Even on vacation, I still filmed.
Mike Dalmeen
stuff,
donated $4.99 through Super Chat. Hey Luke, glad you're back. IT felt weird at work not listening to stream. I had to keep saying to myself, new segment, hope you enjoyed our fam vacation.
New segment. Yeah, I missed you guys too. I think I've just accepted that one of the ways that I get like dopamine in my day-to-day life is by streaming and doing this. So instead of like doing what other people say, like, because I had a family member who was like, Luke, you gotta take time off. Just shut off all of it. Don't film anything. Don't stream anything. Just shut it off. And I sort of tried that in Minnesota, but honestly, like, I think I just realized this isn't like most people's jobs. Like most people, they want a break from the job because they hate their job, right? Or maybe they like their job, but they just, you know, it doesn't fill them up. It doesn't get them any dopamine or anything. So they need a break. But for me, like, for me, I just, like, this is my dream job. I love it. And so it literally doesn't feel like work to me. Like this doesn't feel like I get some streamers like, oh, it's really hard. You know, YouTube's really hard. And yeah, there's hard parts of it. Like there's stuff that's gone on in the background I haven't told you guys about, that affects me and my family and stuff. That's very difficult, but it's still literally a dream job. So if that's what we have to put up for or put up with to live the dream, so be it, you know? So be it. Rock, thank you for resubbing with Prime. Ooh, baby. Thank you, my friend. Yeah, and Iceman, thank you over on Twitch. Thank you, my friend. I've not tried First Descendant. I've heard kind of mixed things over the weekend. If any of you guys have any feedback or any thoughts on it, if you've been playing, let me know. The second I read Just Us, the message, it's going to it's definitely gonna start reading it. Just watch. Okay. Hey Luke, hope you're having a fabulous day. I am. I got my coffee. I'm feeling good. Would you maybe look at Concord versus Frag? See, would you maybe look at Concord versus Frag Punk? It's interesting because both are 5v5 hero shooters with wildly different approaches. After the last little segment on Concord, I did see some of the like fans of Concord and the people that were super hyped on it come out of the woodwork. And I think some of them have valid points. So I guess we can do this. New segment. Okay. So, like I said, after we did the segment last or 2 weeks ago, whenever it was, on Concord, a bunch of people who are pretty excited for it, and I'm guessing have pre-ordered it, came out of the woodwork and started defending it. And some of their points were very, very valid. So, for example, at one point I went through the list of heroes that they revealed, and I was going through and I was saying how each of the heroes that they've allowed people to see and try have like 1-to-1 parity with Overwatch characters, right? So like they might have a like a tank that can absorb projectiles and has like an explosive ability or whatever else it may be. And it's like, okay, well, that sounds an awful lot like Diva. Or they might have a guy that uses a revolver and can deal crazy high, headshot damage, has like a little somersault roll. It's like, okay, well, that sounds a lot like whatever, Cassidy, McCree, whatever it is. And so it's like, okay, well, all of these have 1-to-1 comparisons. And some people commented and were like, hey, I don't know if that's totally fair, because how many archetypes really can there be? Like if somebody's a sniper, yeah, that's what Widowmaker is, but does that necessarily mean that they are just copying it? No, I do think that that's fair to bring up. Does that mean that it's original though? No, I don't think so. I don't think that those go hand in hand, because when you look at a lot of the gameplay footage, I mean, it's pretty clear that there are inspirations taken from various games, but the gunplay certainly feels much more Destiny than it does Overwatch. The time to kills are different. The team balancing and layouts have been shifted. And they've also done this interesting thing where you basically select a roster of characters before you go out into a match like this. And then you have to select from those heroes in the match. You can't select any one of the archetypes or any one of the other heroes in the roster once the match has begun. You've got your pre-selected characters and that's what you're going with. And the idea is that it's meant to prevent like the hard counters where, like, for example, if you are playing like Moira in Overwatch and then you have like a diva who just sucks up all of the balls that she throws out for damage and healing, all of a sudden Moira is not very good at all, right? So in that case, you'd probably pivot off of Moira into another hero or another healer hero that is not hard countered by Diva. And then they're going to swap Diva to that other tank that counters them. So you're just constantly going back and forth. And they wanted to fix that by giving you a fixed roster so you can't just do that constantly. I think that most likely leads to a situation where you see a meta build up around a select cabinet of heroes that are basically just difficult to counter. They might not be like the best heroes, but at the very least, there's not hard counters back and forth. Because if there's one really high risk, high reward hero that can be easily hard countered by another hero, there wouldn't be much sense in bringing them when there's the potential for a hard counter. So you'll just take kind of the most safe, solid choice. But some people are really excited for this. Some people think it's going to be revolutionary. There were some people that commented on that video that said they think that the weekly cutscenes and stuff they're going to do are going to be revolutionary, and that's going to be a new mainstay for games like this. I don't know, honestly, because so much of it just comes down to the writing. If the writing's really good, I think players will just be left wondering why they didn't get like a single player game with this roster of heroes. You know, if the writing's so good that it really becomes a mainstay, people are just going to want a spin-off that focuses on that. But we'll see. I mean, I'm going to try the game when they do the beta previews or whatever here in a couple weeks or a week, whenever it is. And we'll try it. We'll try it here on stream and we'll get a feeling for it. I'll get some friends to hop on with me. We'll try to do it right. But that's one that some people have been pretty excited for. Not a ton of people, but there are some people that have come out of the woodwork and defended it, which is cool to see. You know, I hope that it's really good. I would love for there to be another great game to give some competition with some of those other live service games, but it is such an uphill battle. It's pretty crazy. Now, the other one that you guys brought up is Frag Punk, and this is one that they've actually done some previews for. You can see Shroud apparently tried it. And in this, like, again, he's way more talented than I'll ever be at video games. But you can see he's doing all sorts of testing with characters, movement, stuff like that.
Like A, D, A, D, A, D. Oh, you can see them on the radar. Oh, damn, the radar is clean.
Yeah, you see the line sight and everything.
The radar is real clean. Holy shit.
Radar.
What do my abilities even do?
So Fragpunk, if you're not familiar, this is the one they showed off during the Xbox showcase that had the like card system where you basically draw cards and then those affect everybody on the server, or everybody in the match rather, all at the same time. So the idea is that every match will be different because you'll draw different cards that have different effects. It could be one that makes everybody's head the size of a watermelon. It could be a card that adds grass, tall grass, through the entire maps. All of a sudden, maybe matches are much slower and more tactical with people hiding in the grass. All sorts of cool combinations and things that keep it fully dynamic. It's a novel idea that I think is really interesting. The general consensus I've seen about it is that it seems to be a wee bit clunky. Jesus. Oh, that was Timmy. That's that Apex player. That's funny. I'm guessing this was I think this was a sponsored preview event. I don't think you get these guys in here unless it's sponsored, which no shade to sponsored preview events. Like, you're giving people a chance to try a game before anybody else and to share it with your audience. And in my opinion, more eyes on a game that's coming up, the better. I'm just down for that. Now, of course, if there's situations where like the streamer or content creator is not allowed to say whatever they want to say, then there's a problem. But it seems like this was just a chance to broadly try the game. It's just so tough with all of these games because they can look really good, but there's still just so many other games out there doing similar things. Dude, he's just so good. Why do I even try? You know, it's he's one of those gamers where it's just like, well, crap. Okay, I suck every time I see it. That's good to hear, CZ. So Shroud kept playing it after the sponsored segment as well. He enjoyed it. Well, and that's high praise, because when they sponsored that Suicide Squad stream, granted they only had a select period of time, but that was not a game they played at launch. Like, that was not a game that became part of their regular streaming schedule. It clearly didn't click with them, which is why doing these sponsored streams can be really high risk, high reward. Like, if you remember Apex back in I think it launched 2019. That was one where they paid a bunch of streamers to try the game. because it just shadow dropped out of nowhere. And people loved it so much that all those streamers that were sponsored to play it for a few hours decided to keep playing it for the next week. And it became a staple. It became huge because the game was so good that it clicked with people, and those sponsored streams play into the seed that blossomed into this crazy thing. With Suicide Squad, it was the opposite, where they tried to plant a seed and then the capsule burst and it was just some sort of weird necrotic acid that devoured everything in its path. So people just ran away as quickly as they could. With this, it seems like they've also seen people get impressed by it and that like it. So as for this, I think Fragpunk seems to be the most original and most interesting. And I think that will help. As for Concord, the difficult thing with it is that it's, you know, it's a $40 game. It's $40. And that works with a Helldivers 2. But I don't know if it works with something like this that's already seen as overly generic. You know, maybe when the beta comes out and people just eat it up, maybe that's going to do it. But these types of games need streamers to move over to it. They need all of the fans of like regular Overwatch or like a Valorant or something like that. All of those people to come over and start eating it up. And I just don't know if this is enough. They have a lot of game modes, it seems. They have a pretty big roster of characters. But they have to hit this out of the freaking park for it to be successful. And we'll see. Like I said, we'll try it. I think it's early. Maybe it's late this week, early next week. Because I think the first one's on the 12th, right? So Friday. So I guess Friday we'll try it. We'll actually give it a chance. Maybe we'll open it up so like members or something can join the party. Maybe we'll do that. I don't know how we do that, but... Well, the original Overwatch, yeah, but I don't think you can compare 2015 to 2024 with live service games. It's a very different industry now. Like 2015, when the original Overwatch launched, that's pre-Fortnite, that's pre-Warzone, that's pre-PUBG. Like that's before all of those games that changed how these games are priced and how all of this works. So I just don't think you can go back to that. And compare them, because I think they're just frankly different. Concord seems off with the shooting. Well, I just get the vibe that I'm trying to see, like, Overwatch has gotten a lot of crap because the hitboxes are very forgiving. Like in Overwatch 2, I forget which hero it is, but one of the heroes, I think it's Tracer, her head hitbox is like this big around. Even though her head's tiny, the hitbox for actually landing a bullet on her head is huge. And people give them crap for that because they're like, it's not even competitive. Look, I can fire over her shoulder and it still hits her head. But the reason they do that is to try and make it more approachable, because when the hitboxes are so hyper accurate with a character that moves really fast, it can feel just frustrating. If anything, it can feel like your bullets should be hitting when they're not. And that just comes with, you know, literal years of tweaking and balancing and shifting. So it might look ridiculous when you see it in isolation, but in gameplay it works better. Kiriko has the smallest hitbox in the game. Most pros aim for her waist. I believe that. And she's fast too. But with this, I'm kind of getting the vibe that this might be a situation where they're leaning more into tighter hitboxes, which some people are going to love. I'm trying to see here. Shot. Did that also hit him? Let's see. That was the shotgun blast that hit him. That was a shot. And then that one connects. But even that one, like, it's maybe it touches his shoulder, maybe. And then that one that connects also is like a shoulder shot. But with all these, I just get the feeling that Concord probably has a little bit tighter hitboxes, which will make it much more difficult and more competitive than like an Overwatch traditionally is. But does that mean it's more fun? I don't know. For some people, they're going to eat it up, no doubt. But because there's no doubt the guys that are making this know what they're doing. But the point of the conversation is just whether or not the concept makes sense. You know, like that's the big premise. Because I think some people get frustrated when we talk about games like this, and they're like, well, I think the gameplay looks really good. It's like it very well could look really good. It very well could be very good, you know, but that's a separate question as to whether this live service game ends up finding a lot of success, because those are two fundamentally different questions. A game can be good and still have still just not click with the broader public. Like even a game like Lawbreakers, I think connects with a lot of people in many ways, but I think that if you don't nail the various things you need to nail, it's just not going to work. Let's see. Oh wait, somebody was just asking about the Starfield video, so I wanted to check where it's at, because if you're not familiar, the Starfield video called the Starfield Saga is, oh yeah, oh hell yeah, it is an 8-hour video. It's like 8.5 hours long, and it's been a biatch to get put together. I'll tell you what, it's been a biatch. And we put it up, and after all of this work, the whole time I'm on vacation, my house is empty, and poor Jacob had to drive over here. What was it, Jake? 3-4 times? I think it was 4 times. Drove over to my house, came in, booted up the computers. We FaceTimed. I walked him through how to log into each computer, showed him where on the computer the files and raw recordings were so he could pull them, because 3 of them didn't get uploaded because I'm an idiot. And so it just constant stuff like that. And then it wouldn't export the final 8-hour version of the video on his computer. So Jacob came over to my place because my streaming PC has the freaking crazy Threadripper CPU, so it's really good at video encoding huge projects with like 128 gigs of RAM or whatever. So he came over here, rendered it out on my computer overnight. We had to do like 2 attempts at it. It was ridiculous. And so we finally get it uploaded. Bear in mind, this is a 250 gigabyte video, okay? So like YouTube's limit for uploads is 256 gigabytes. And ours was like 250. It's ridiculous. Like it's absolutely outrageous. So we finally get it uploaded. And then I get an email. And the email is like the worst thing you could possibly see after all of this headache. Like it's just the worst thing you could possibly see. Let me just show you. This is the email I get. Copyrighted content has been detected in your video. Just default title before we title it. As a result, your video has been blocked and can no longer be played on YouTube. This is not a copyright strike and does not affect your channel. The thing is, it's blocked globally, and it's from Wired Japan. Now, what's weird about that is it's a segment of an interview Todd did with Wired. And it's like a pretty crucial thing in the critique or saga video that we do all over the place. I reference it all the time because it's like Todd's whole thing is he talked about Redguard being a formative game for Bethesda Game Studios because it was a game where they did something they were really proud of themselves, but it wasn't what their fans wanted from them. And so it was met with poor reception. And I'm like, that is Starfield. Like for so many people, that is Starfield. And so we constantly reference that interview. And it's not Wired that's claiming it. It's a subsidiary, Wired Japan, which is always frustrating because it means that like, okay, the actual like main owner, Wired US, doesn't see this or as a violation. They don't have these types of things getting claimed or blocked, but these guys from Wired Japan are claiming it. And so there's just not much you can do. So in this case, the video was blocked worldwide, you couldn't even hit play. I couldn't even hit play on the video to see if it uploaded properly because it was blocked globally. So we're left with a couple of options. Either we try to re-edit it, export it again, and just frantically try to re-export it and do all of that, or we file an appeal. So I filed an appeal. I went through all the rigmarole of that, of writing all the emails and having a lawyer draft up some scary language, and we filed the counter. And YouTube just recently, to their credit, YouTube has introduced a new thing. So it used to be you would basically counter their claim. So if you make a video with something like this that automatically gets copyright claimed, you can file a counter, and then the counter they have 30 days to respond to, and that 30-day response, they can respond on day 1, or they can never respond, in which case you automatically win, or they could respond on day 30 just saying, nuh-uh, we totally own it and you're not allowed to do it, in which case the only thing you can do is then hire a lawyer and try to basically sue them. It's not technically suing, but it's writing a legal counter to all of it. It's stupid. But YouTube, to their credit, recently instituted a new thing where you can file a direct appeal, which means that you can write up why you think that this is done in error, blah, blah, blah. And in order to do that, you then have 7 days for them to potentially respond instead of a full 30. So I filed all of that on like Friday while I was still on vacation. You know, I got all of this news and everything. So I filed all of the paperwork. We got it submitted on Friday. And then the weekend passed, meaning they basically had until Friday of this week to respond to it. But look at this. Oh, and the other thing to note, when an appeal has been filed, the restrictions are lifted. You can't monetize it. You don't get ad revenue or anything like that, but people can still watch it. So what I did is I filed the appeal, and then I shared it with patrons over on our new Patreon so they could still watch the video. And I just warned everybody, like, hey, if they come back and say, no, we actually do own the copyright, the video will be blocked again. That's why. But in the meantime, enjoy it. Try to, at least, and we'll go from there. But 3 hours ago, I didn't even realize this till somebody asked in chat and I looked at it. Good news. After reviewing your dispute, Condé Nast International, I guess, has decided to release their copyright claim on your YouTube video. Thanks, Team YouTube. Booyah. Thank God. Thank Todd. So now it's just fully unrestricted and open for syndication, as it's known. Now it's an 8-hour video, elephant in the room. It's an 8-hour video that's very different from the types of critiques I've done before, which is why I didn't call it a critique. I called it the Starfield Saga, because I wanted to do more of a casual, laid back sort of thing. And I hope people like it. It's just very different. It's very different from anything we've done before. And people might love it. You might also hate it. I'm open to feedback on all of it. Honestly, if you like Luke Stevens Live, I think you'll like the more laid back approach to it, but other people that are looking for something really, really formal might not like it. But I used to get feedback that people didn't like the super formal stuff, so I don't know. We'll see how it works. But I'm happy with it. I think it turned out pretty good. And now we can just go for it. Because it's an 8-hour video, I want to make sure patrons have a chance to watch it because they financially support in that way. And I feel like it's only fair that they get the chance to, you know, actually see it in its entirety. So let's see, where did it go? So what I'm gonna do is I'm just going to leave it up for patrons, and in the coming days, probably a bit in a few days or a few, not weeks, but after a little bit of time has passed and most people have gotten through it, I will open it up for everybody to see. Okay. Yeah. But I think it could be fun to share a little snippet just to show you how it starts. And I'm trying to find the actual thing. Apparently I don't have it saved here. Let me just pull this up. Okay. Let me just show you the intro, okay? Yeah, paywalling. Okay. This is just a little taste, okay? This is the intro segment to the video, and then we'll get back into our bread and butter, okay? So that's that. Yeah, this is the longest video I've done. Honestly, it's a bit accidental. I really don't know how it ended up being this big. That's what she said. I don't really know. I don't really know how it happened, because the outline wasn't that much. Like, it wasn't that crazy, but I really think what a lot of it is just I didn't have any strong restrictions on myself. I was just like, let's just go for it. We tried not to be like super stilted with it, tried not to do too much craziness. We just kind of opened it up and kind of tried to approach it in a relaxed way. And hopefully people like it. Some people might hate it, but we'll see. Yeah, a lot of it, like, I didn't want to just do another one of those videos where it's like, and here's the exploration's bad, because I've made those videos. I made 30 of those videos by now. So I was like, let's deep dive into the background, like something different, something different. And so we deep dive into a lot of it. We talk about Todd's background, Todd's family, the backgrounds of how Starfield happened, some of the interviews and forum posts and stuff from the early 2000s, late 90s, all sorts of stuff. So we'll see. Yeah. I'm hopeful people like it. We'll see. We'll see. And if it's an experiment that doesn't work and people aren't fans of it, no worries. It's an experiment. An 8-hour-long experiment, but I'm happy with it. Oh, what's that ADHD thing for your hands called? Oh, these that I keep playing with. These are the Stamara Stimags that are quite fun. I don't have a like full sponsored link or anything, but if you want to see them, it's these. Stamara.com. They're just fun. They're built really well too. Like, I've had fidget toys I've broken in like a week before, and these have not broken, which is impressive because I just fiddle with them all the time. Okay. Now that we finished that, so all of that to say, going back to the core question, all that to say, when is the Starfield critique going to go up for everybody? The latest will be, let me look at the calendar. The latest would be probably Friday at the latest. What I'm doing is I'm looking at the view counts and I'm seeing once people have kind of wrapped up watching it on the Patreon, then I'll put it up. I just want to make sure there's a reasonable amount of time for people who got early access to watch the whole thing. If it's an hour video, I feel like 3 days early access is fine. That's plenty. But if it's like an 8-hour video, obviously that's going to take a little bit more time. So it'll be up soon. And yeah, shout out to the patrons who make it possible. We're going to do the poll once the Starfield video goes up. We're going to do the poll for what the next deep dive is, and that'll go up for all the qualified patrons to vote on. So we'll see what that's like. I'll never forget how you let it slip. You're doing a Starfield critique live on stream. Blake, I was doing so good. And the whole point was that this was going to shadow drop. That was my hope, is that this just shadow dropped and nobody had any idea. And then I accidentally said it. It's just unbelievable. It's crazy. Okay, let me catch up on these super chats and everything. Real quick, let me catch up on these. Whitest Rabbit, thank you also for re-upping your membership. Thank you, my friend. Just Us, thank you for the 10. Yeah, the Fragpunk versus Concord, thank you for that, my friend. Just Us, thank you for the 5 as well. Just a little fix. I am on the side that Fragpunk is doing something much more unique than Concord. I totally agree. I hope that something like Fragpunk can find success, because I think novel ideas should be rewarded, but we'll see if it really clicks. Obviously, Concord, there's a lot of money riding on it from PlayStation's perspective, and they have like nothing else this year, seemingly. Like they really don't. So they need this to be a hit, because 2024 will be like one of the most lackluster years for them. Other than like Helldivers 2, what have they had that's really popped off? You know, like there really hasn't been any heavy hitters. So they're going to pour a lot of money into marketing and trying to make it click. Josh Storch, thank you for the 2. Glad you're back, buddy. Just wanted to say hi. Thank you, my friend. Glad to be back. Glowing Eagle, thank you for that super chat. What is your ideal Elder Scrolls 6? What does it need to be good? Assume they stuck to the Creation Engine 2, which they will. How can the Elder Scrolls be taken to the next level for the next gen? Well, that's the thing, is it's not even going to be most likely current gen. It will be next gen. And my guess is the whole thing, like, you know how this generation, it was all about SSDs and load times basically disappearing. Like, I think probably the next generation is going to be all AI stuff. Like, I think that they're going to do like neural processing engines and stuff like that. And it's going to have large language models. They're going to have systems where like you can plug in your microphone in an open world RPG and just talk to NPCs. I think that they're going to do stuff like that. Which is going to be really cool. But if they do that, like, what are the odds that the Creation Engine pulls that off? I think it's very, very low. But I would bet good money that within about 7 years, we'll probably see companies like Ubisoft trying to do stuff like that. And the problem for Bethesda is just that they they frame their games as next generation. Like that's what they described Starfield as. They said it's a next generation space exploration RPG. And the thing is, as far as space is concerned, they did a good job on scale. I'll give them that. Exploration, really bad in that game. It's not next generation. It feels like a PS4 game or an Xbox One game. And then as for an RPG, it's a bad RPG too. So like they just need to be very careful with what the premise is. And if they're just going for scale and it's like, hey, it's basically all of, you know, the continent is open to you. That's cool. Because again, I think the odds are very high they implement some of the procedural tech that they did for Starfield. They implement some of that in here. And that might just be dungeons. Maybe there's an infinite number of dungeons. Like say you go up to a warp crystal and you touch the warp crystal and it sends you to a procedurally generated map that is basically just a dungeon with a randomly assigned boss, and then you can grind those. I would guess they have something like that in the game. What my ideal Elder Scrolls game, though, would be, like, they've got to recapture the magic of Skyrim, and I think part of that comes with scope. It comes with player freedom and dynamic gameplay systems. If they can do that and really like figure out how to make exploration fun again, that could do it. But I just don't have a lot of confidence in that happening. I think it's going to be another inventory management slugfest, and I'm not super confident in their capabilities. But as for what they could do to impress me, like if they added ship navigation and they had islands along the coast that you could explore, if they had like totally revamped the combat systems, if they had much better companions, and then dynamic AI stuff, that could be super cool. There's a lot of things they could do, but we'll see if it actually happens. Ryan Solar, how you gotten asked to play Zenless Zone Zero? For the sponsor video they just reached out and said, hey, would you like to try the game early and share it with your audience? We'll pay you to share it with your audience. I was like, okay, as long as I'm allowed to say whatever I want to say. They're like, yep, go for it. So they just reached out to my manager and agent, so I don't really have any contacts or anything, but yeah, they just reached out to us. Ninja Orange, thank you for the 5. Hey Luke, currently watching the 8-hour Starfield video. Loved it. Was surprised by the Tinkerbell fact with Todd. Maybe Shadow of Mordor critique. Oh dude, I'd love to play Shadow of Mordor again. Please, everybody vote on that. I would love that. Yeah, there is a little tidbit with Todd Howard and Tinkerbell. The Tinkerbell direct to like Disney Plus movies. It's a little fun fact in there you might not know about. Little fun fact. Also, I think I figured out potentially how the conversation started between Todd and Disney to maybe get that Indiana Jones licensing to do the Indiana Jones game that he's executive producer on. Because guess whose brother works for Disney as a writer and has produced a lot of scripts for them. And it would have the connections to hook up Disney and his brother. Todd's brother is like a pretty well-established writer for Disney, which is pretty funny. And I would guess that's probably where the connection came from. Yeah, it's me. Yeah, Jacob's a Disney writer now. Yeah, Todd's brother is like a scriptwriter for Disney. Yeah. Okay. So his brother's to blame for all of this. Yeah. Todd Howard confirmed his live action Tinkerbell. Yeah, exactly. So basically nepotism. I don't think that counts as nepotism. I think it's just if you ask your brother, hey, do you have a phone number or an email for somebody I can talk to about maybe doing an Indiana Jones game? He's like, yeah, I know the guy that runs the Indiana Jones stuff. Here's his number. Go call him. I'm guessing that's probably all it was, but I think that it's too crazy that there's that direct connection, and the Indiana Jones thing comes out of left field. Like it's too like it lines up too perfectly, you know, for it to just be a coincidence. 2 failing companies, 1 family. Yeah, Mauer. Yeah, I was kind of trolling because it's Todd. Yeah. No. Todd ruins Bethesda and now he's ruining Disney too. It was Todd the whole time. Cowards can't keep getting away with this. Yeah, I found an article from like 2008 where they were talking about how successful the Howard brothers were. It was like from a newspaper where they grew up, and you know, in the middle of nowhere in Maryland, I think. And so they're, or Macungie Township, I think is what it's called. That's where Todd grew up. But they wrote this whole article about how successful the Howard brothers were and all that. It's pretty funny. It's pretty funny. Anyway, continuing on this, let's see. Okay, we did that one. Mia, thank you for re-upping the membership. 6 months. Ooh, baby. Can we talk about the Boogie crypto scheme? Yeah, Boogie tried to basically, he took $10,000 to hype a meme coin, and he tried to do it by saying, don't buy this or you'll be broke like me. But it's just like, everybody knows what he's trying to do. And then he posted other videos where he was like, let's troll CoffeeZilla and those guys and Keemstar and boost my coin up to this level, hit 1 million market cap, and then I'll sell. That'll piss him off so bad. And it's like, bro, you're just like, you just admitting to doing a pump and dump like that. You just verbalized it. It's just unbelievable. Who's falling for that? I have no idea, but there's still people that are fans. And it's such a tragedy because I remember watching Boogie back in like the 2013-14 era just talk about video games and stuff. I remember it was so cozy. Like watching his old videos it just made you feel good. I don't know why. It just scratched an itch I didn't know was there. But it's just, what a tremendous downfall. It makes me like look back. I'm like, so was he always like this? And we all just didn't realize it, or what? Like, and I think what it is that his original like wife Des was really good at balancing him out, and then after they got divorced in like 2017, right as he got the surgery to lose all the weight and he got new teeth, he started hanging out with McJuggernuggets, who is like the world's worst influence. And McJuggernuggets destroyed his own career, also destroyed Boogie's career. Like, I really think a lot of the Boogie downfall is because he started hanging out with McJuggernuggets, who encouraged him to do this like Andy Kaufman thing where he pretended to be like crazy and insane, but the internet couldn't tell the difference between fact and fiction. And it didn't help that Boogie also has like some skeletons in his closet. So there's just all sorts of things with Boogie that's just it's just a disaster. But it reminds you of the thing, even with like Doc recently. It's like, you either die the hero or you live long enough to see yourself become a villain. It's like, maybe sometimes YouTubers should just get out before they destroy themselves. But Doc, it seems, got out with millions and millions of dollars, whereas Boogie is just, he's not broke. He has like $100,000+ in assets, but he's burning through it. Yeah, McJuggernuggets. Yeah, he tried to leave YouTube and start his own thing called Storyfire. Didn't work. Because the whole premise of Storyfire was that it was going to be a YouTube competitor and also a Patreon competitor. So you'd pay like $3 and get exclusive videos from creators that you liked. But the whole premise of Storyfire was that it was telling stories. So it was all like targeting these content creators that made like made up drama crap and would like script stuff and script rage. And McJuggernuggets, his whole series was the insane, like Psycho Kid, whatever series, where he would have his dad like destroying his Xbox. Then he screams and freaks out about it. And it's all staged. It's all fake. But in the early days of YouTube, those videos would pop off and go super viral. And then YouTube changed and that stuff just doesn't work anymore. And so McJuggernuggets tried to do that. He got Boogie involved with it. Remember the whole Boogie Tesla thing? That was all McJuggernuggets trying to get him into that. So in my humble opinion, I think for Boogie, it was a couple of things. I think his divorce did a big number on him. And then I think his partnership with McJuggernuggets was a total train wreck. Like, it's crazy. Yeah, difference between Boogie and Doc, though. Boogie can still find redemption. Ain't no coming back from what Doc did. Yeah, I don't know how Doc would. I mean, I don't think Doc even at this point probably cares. Like I said, I mean, he's a multi-millionaire. Like he'll just go off, do whatever he wants to do. He's had a hugely long career. Like he's fine financially. So if he tries to come back, that's going to be pretty funny to see the reaction. But there's still people defending him. There's still people that are like, oh, he's probably innocent. Like, I don't think you can come back from what he was doing. Like, nobody's going to want to partner with him. Nobody's going to want to play with him because like he openly admitted to talking to minors and the conversations got inappropriate. Like you just said the thing. Like you can't do that. You say that to Chris Hansen, you're going in the cop car, dude. Like the solicitation, whatever. Like I get it. Maybe the messages never spilled over into the realm of illegal, but that doesn't mean it's okay. You know, like that's a different question. It's like, I didn't technically break the law. That's still not great. If you ever find yourself saying, I didn't technically break the law, you still probably did something bad, you know? And so for Doc, like, he probably, based on what he's saying and the fact there were never charges or anything, he probably didn't do anything illegal on paper that they could charge him with. Otherwise, they would have charged him. But that doesn't make it okay. You know, like he still clearly did something wrong. So, yeah, I don't think Doc's making it back. But as for Boogie and a redemption arc, I think if he just shut up about all this other crap that he does and he just talked about video games again, it would start, his videos would only get like 5,000 views a video. It would start really slow, but I think he could eventually find an audience to come back because he had interesting takes on games back in the day. He just started sitting on the fence. He just got distracted. He got tangled up with Anita Sarkeesian. He did all sorts of stuff that was just a series of horrible decisions. And if he just got back to fundamentals and just talked about games again, I think there would be people that would go and hang out with him again and talk with him and watch him. But most lolcow types, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. You can give them the best advice in the world and they will not listen to it. Like DSP, somebody like Keemstar will offer him $50,000 to join a podcast, which is what he was offered. Like DSP was offered, and he's one of the most well-known e-beggars on the internet. He was offered $50K to join the lolcow live podcast, and he turned it down. $50,000. And he's e-begging every single day. And that should tell you a lot. For one, it tells you just how cocky and arrogant that these people are, that they would turn down something like that. But it also shows, I think, for DSP specifically, that he's addicted to the begging. Like, he knows if he got $50K, he'd burn through it quickly, and then he would have no way to ever e-beg again, because people would just be like, you just got $50K. Like, you don't need more money. Shut up. You know, I just think that it's ridiculous, but you can get offered $50K and they'll turn it down and then throw a fit. It's wild. Oh, they apparently did offer also DSP the chance to play versus, so Wings, you remember the whole Wings Syndicate thing from way back, like 2012 or something like that, where they did a 1v1 online and Wings lost, and he says it started like the downfall of his career and all this stuff. Not really the case. It was kind of how he reacted to it later that caused the problems. But anyway, with that, they offered to do a rematch where they would like rent out a stadium and then they would have a live Wings versus Syndicate rematch. And it would be like they'd each get 10 grand. They'd get to just play the game. Easy money. People would buy tickets, go out. Dude, I'd fly out there for that. That'd be awesome. And they offered it to Syndicate, but Syndicate recently has been going through his own drama, let's just say, and scandals. He not only, I think he, correct me if I'm wrong, wasn't he one of the people that was doing the, it was like CSGO Lotto, that whole thing. I think he was involved with that. And then he was also recently caught, like late last year, early this year, he was caught for faking a bunch of world record runs in Call of Duty Zombies back in the day. They had the recordings, and then like in the middle of a speed run, like his character would just change because the parts were spliced together. Just really weird stuff. So Syndicate's got his own problems, and he turned it down. So they went to DSP and offered DSP 10 grand to go and do this 1v1 against DSP or against Wings, and he turned it down. They're like, we will fly you out for a day. You play this game on stage in front of people. You make 10 grand, you fly back. What? And he turned it down. Like, what? Unbelievable. Unbelievable. But that's the thing. Again, you can lead a horse to water. You can't make him drink. For a lot of these guys, they will offer you a huge chunk of change and they will turn it down because they're just too arrogant to acknowledge that like people want to do that. You could offer somebody like DSP 100 grand and he would turn it down because like he doesn't want to admit that people want to watch him play a game for the laughs. Like it's all ego based. You know. Unicorn, thank you, my friend. Glad to have you. Glad to have you. I'm glad you made it here too. So, yeah, I don't even play COD and I do that. Dude, but like that's the thing. Anybody, like you just try to put yourself in a position, like what would your mind space have to be if I told one of you guys, like I just pick one of you guys randomly, like well, like Odin. I ask Odin, I will pay you $10,000 right now. And I will fly you out to Los Angeles. We'll put you up in a hotel, pay for your food and dinners and stuff. We'll have a car pick you up from the airport, take you to the hotel, and take you from the hotel to the venue. All you have to do is show up at the airport, and then everything else is handled. You play this game on stage for an hour. Maybe you do like some pictures and meet and greet with some fans. And then you get back in the car, go back to the hotel, sleep, and then we take you to the airport, you fly back home. And you get $10,000. A lot of people would do it for no payment, just for the trip. But, like, just imagine what would have to be going on in your head for you to turn it down. Like, what on earth is going on? It's craziness. It's craziness. So, I don't know. It's just... I lose a lot of sympathy for those types of people, but at least for somebody like Boogie or Wings, they're at the point now in the like lolcow arc. It's kind of like the whatever steps of grief, you know, where it's like bargaining or denial, bargaining, accepted, you know, whatever. And I think like somebody like DSP is just in denial, whereas Boogie and Wings at this point are just in acceptance. Like they understand where they're at and they know, hey, if somebody wants to give me $10,000 to play a game and laugh at me, I'm still getting 10 grand, you know. And that's kind of where I would be, I would think, like, hey, 10 grand's 10 grand. But yeah, it's just madness. So anyway, the whole thing with Boogie is just a tragedy. I really wish Boogie could figure his crap out, because again, I used to watch so many of his videos back in like high school. So many. I remember what was it? Boogie 2988 Twitch highlights. Yeah, 7 years ago. Like you see these old clips 6 years ago, 7 years ago. Like, I remember seeing some of these clips.
What? What? We just shot a cuckoo in the ass. And it shit out a boiled egg. I'm done. I'm done with video games forever now. That's all I ever needed to see.
Like, his streams were just outrageous, but they were fun. And he would pop on stream, hang out for a while. So much fun. Like, it was just fun. Look at this. This video had 1.4 million views.
What? Your help. I need your help. Okay.
Need my help with what?
I need.
So, like, a little backstory. All these videos he would do, he's playing the character Francis, right? But all these characters, like his sister character was actually his wife, who would leave him right after the surgery. And that's when he really took a nosedive and, you know, his career imploded and everything. But if you see this, like,
Lose at a game? Is that what you're trying to say?
Whatever.
Because you don't even understand the terminology? No, I didn't lose in another game. I'm actually pretty good at these games. Those are my favorite games, all right? But I'm getting rid of the system, okay?
Why?
Okay, number one, because half these games suck. Look at the Wii U party. Oh my God, Nintendo Land fucking terrible. Secondly, it's a dead console. Okay, their new console, Nintendo's new console comes out in 3 days. I need to make room for the Nintendo Switch. This console's dead. There's not going to be any more games.
So, like, it was like gaming focused, but it was just silly, stupid stuff. Like, this whole video, the whole premise is that he's going to go out and have a funeral for his Wii U and like bury it. And he puts on like a little suit jacket all screwed up and he's burying his Wii U. Like, it was just a funny premise and a funny video. Like, it's funny. And then he just lost his mind. Like, you know, he just lost his. If he was still making videos like this, I have no doubt that he'd still have a fan base. People would be eating it up. He's got the DS in his pocket. You know, it was just funny. It was just a good time. Because, like, he didn't take himself that seriously, and he was okay with people laughing at him, and it was the whole thing. But it's a real tragedy. It's a real tragedy because his videos used to be so funny. Yeah. Oh, there's so many. I think it's right here.
What? Let's go. Let's go in. You want
Okay.
to play some Mario Maker or something?
You just buried your Wii.
Oh, God damn it!
Like, it's just stupid. It's just stupid, but it was fun. It was fun. So, I don't know. I miss those days. I miss those days. That's why, like, I'd be rooting for him to figure out his crap, but he's just making it real hard sometimes. Makes it real hard. Boogie was the first YouTuber I ever bought merch from. I still remember. I probably have the screenshots somewhere. But back, like, I was watching Boogie before I was ever making YouTube videos and stuff. And I remember I made a comment on a Boogie video back in like 2014. Like, this was the era when he won Gamer of the Year and stuff like that. I remember I made a comment on one of his videos and he gave it the heart, you know, like the little favorite thing. And I remember like screenshotting it. And I remember telling Jacob, like, look, he favorited my video, like, or my comment. I remember losing it and being so excited. Like, that's, I used to be like a big fan of Boogie, and then he just took a nosedive. Yeah, I thought it was sick. Yeah, we all did. It was so cool. And now you're like, hey, I got a heart from Boogie, and people are like, cringe. You know? Oh yeah, that makes sense why he let him into his home. Yeah. We're bros. Anyway, very long answer to your question, Mia. Sorry. Brother Lady, thank you for the 10 months. Been a month since I've been able to catch your stream. Been busy with new work and training. Hope the stream's been going good. Oh yeah, we've been rocking and rolling. Took a little vacay, but now we're back rocking and rolling. Doom of Sudan. Thank you for 6 months, my friend. Hey, look, did you ever look at the Warcraft 3 Reforged Disaster? I know they didn't ship it with features the OG had, but I wonder about the campaign. Yeah, what year was that? That must have been Reforge. WoW Reforge. Something like that. I think there was one really good video that did like a breakdown comparison. Disaster. What happened? Gaming Bolt. Angry Rant. Maybe. Yeah, that whole thing is 8-hour boogie critique by Luke. I unironically would like to do documentaries on people and projects and games and stuff one day. You know, maybe once I've got that FU money and I can just go do the artsy fartsy stuff, maybe that's what I'll try doing. Because I'd love to do like a full breakdown of like King Cobra. I'd love to do a full breakdown of somebody like Boogie, and do like a totally comprehensive thing. But yeah, in the future, maybe. Yeah, the Reforged thing was a total train wreck. Total train wreck. The WoW Reforge. Again, I don't know how else to phrase it than just disaster. But basically, yeah, so here's what exactly is going on with Reforged. Lots of stuff. This was 2020. They promised better cutscenes with improved graphics and cinematics and voice work, but what they showed off at BlizzCon, even as far back as 2018, is not what we got in the final game. You can even compare the BlizzCon footage. So this is the first clip. This is what they showed back in 2018. Yeah. So these are the cutscenes they showed. And then the final version is this. It's like, okay, so like you lied. that wasn't true. So there's that. You know, it's just so stupid. I've got the lawn guys are coming to do lawn treatments. Here, I'll be right back. I'll let this cutscene play. I'm just gonna go let the lawn guy into the backyard to do the treatment on the grass. Oh, he might be just going. I think he's just going. I think we're good. Yeah, I think we're good. The lawn guy's here to fix my grass. Okay, so yeah, they did stuff like that. They just generally screwed it up. Now that both Reforged and the original game are the same online infrastructure, those connectivity issues will impact the original as well. Yeah, it was just a total disaster across the board. Blizzard's another one where it's like you guys had everything going for yourselves and then you just blew it. You just blew it. Some of these big companies, though, it's just amazing. It's like, you were the chosen one. We all loved you. What are you doing? Okay, let's see. Goku loses to a heart virus. Thank you for the 10. Linear or open world Zelda, which you prefer? Personally, I think a rotation of these ideas would be better. I'm not saying to make every future game Breath of the Wild or Ocarina of Time, but I find a balance between formulas. Yeah, well, I think the difficulty with rotating between formulas is that they hire a lot of people specifically for their talents with like open world design or questing design in an open world. And I don't think it's easy to just swap between those. So I think that could complicate things. I think they'll keep innovating and trying to do different things. Like it feels pretty clear that Breath of the Wild was basically the beta of Tears of the Kingdom, and once they made Tears of the Kingdom, that was like the full realization of the potential of that idea. So I'm excited to see what they do next, because one thing you gotta hand Nintendo is that they almost never tread water. They always are trying to push things and go wacky and crazy. That's why I'm really excited for whatever this Switch successor is. It might just look like a Switch and just be Switch 2, but my hope is that it's something a little bit more unique. Blake Rogers, thank you for the 10. Dealing with Anita and the whole crowd should be well known at this point to be a bad move. They're so bad when they're involved in someone unaliving themselves. Absolutely revolting people. I'm not familiar with that. Jesus Christ. I missed an article or something there. Yeah, I hadn't heard about anything like that. I did at one point, maybe 2 years ago, I was in talks with the guys over at Modern Day Debate to potentially do a debate with Anita Sarkeesian. And eventually, like, she just, apparently my understanding is they got in contact with her. Maybe they didn't, but my understanding is that they talked to her. And after she found out she'd be talking with me about these various things, she backed out and wasn't interested. She hasn't done any other debates recently, so I think she just generally doesn't want to have discussions and stuff. But I'm glad it didn't happen, because whenever you start, like, you drop to that level and you start flinging poo with people, like, there's just no winning. So I'm glad I didn't end up doing it and it didn't happen. But there was a time when we were talking about that. So I'm glad that it didn't happen. They offered me the chance to debate some other lady who was like one of the most toxic people I've ever seen. Like, they sent me her like sheet of contact information of her like YouTube channel and her Twitter account and all that stuff. And it was some of the most toxic stuff I've ever seen in my life. Like telling people that have white skin to Roblox themselves, and how straight male gamers should all commit Roblox and stuff like that. Like, it was unbelievable. I was like, I'm not talking with this person. Like, this person does not deserve any sort of like validation to be spoken to. Like, I'm just not interested. So I'm glad that it didn't end up happening. Okay. How does Roblox equate? because if I say one of those words, YouTube does not like it. Whereas Roblox is, in my opinion, a funny way of getting around that, because YouTube's like, oh, Roblox is cool. So they don't freak out. But if I say that other word and then the closed captions scanner bot, whatever, reads that, then it flags all of this stuff. It's dumb that you have to get around it that way, but that's just how it is. Let's see. Steven, thank you for the 2 first super chat. Big fan of and love your content, Luke. Thank you, my friend. And thank you for the super chat. Very generous. Appreciate you. Can we watch the new Overwatch? Can we watch the new Overwatch Transformers trailer? What is Overwatch Transformers? Is it a new Overwatch trailer? Or, oh, they're doing a crossover? Oh, God. What the hell is even that? I just Googled it. Overwatch 2 and Transformers crossover. I don't even know what that is. Are they just skins? That leaves me confused. My brain hurts. Did I hear about the stuff with Sketch? No. I do not know anything going on with Sketch. Maybe I should. I don't know. I'm out of the loop. I'm kind of a boomer when it comes to this stuff. And Viter, thank you for the super chat. Hey, Luke, I do videos too, but in Spanish, practicing English accent to give that a go. Haha. But just trying to get better at making videos. It's been 3 years and still learning, so that's why I'm here. Yeah, well, I mean, it's all just a matter of keeping on the grind. And it's like I can't speak. Amazingly enough, the #1 piece of content I end up having to give people is like, if you want to be a content creator, you have to create content. I can't even tell you how many people reach out and they're like, I want to start making videos. I want to start doing this, but I just don't, it hasn't happened yet. I just haven't figured it out yet. And it's like, if you got to start, like, you just got to start doing it. You got to start doing it. but so many people just sit on it. They don't create. So to hear that you're actually making stuff that's awesome, you just got to keep grinding. Every year I look back at videos I made a year ago and I cringe. I'm like, we would have done that so much better now, you know? So much better now. But if you don't feel that way about stuff you made a year ago, then you're probably not actually improving. We have like, we have cameras that surround our house after the swatting and everything. So we have like full 360 views, and then like the garage has camera, like we have cameras everywhere. And we get notified. We get notified when somebody crosses into that field of view. So Nikki just got on her phone the alert for the lawn guy in the backyard, and so she just texts me like, "Who's in the backyard?" Who's in the backyard? There's someone there. Luke, pay attention. I'm like, no, it's okay. It's okay. It's just the lawn guy. He's fixing our grass, getting rid of the weeds. Okay, should we do it like an actual segment now? I've been rambling for an hour and a half. Having a great time, don't get me wrong, but rambling. Let's do this. New segment for the masses. Hold your asses for the news that may make you angry. I've told you guys for the last like 6 months, ever since the whole Helldivers 2 situation with the PlayStation Network account thing. I've been predicting that Sony is doing the PSN login stuff because they want to normalize having a PlayStation Network account on PC if you're playing their games, so that they can bring over a PlayStation Network launcher to PC. And we've even seen this with the PlayStation overlay, where it looks like they've done a lot of work to figure out like the UI for stuff. So PSN overlay PC. Let me see if I can find. Yeah. It's like you see this, open image, a new tab, this thing. So when you're playing like Ghost of Tsushima, you can pull up this overlay, and it seems like this is too much work to do just to display trophies. You know, they've done a lot of work on this. So my prediction for months has been they're going to do a launcher. Like they're going to do their own launcher. They don't like giving Steam 30% cuts of everything. They want to do their own launcher. And they're going to do that one of two ways, in my opinion. Either they do it by exclusively launching on their launcher. So no longer on Steam, only available on the PSN launcher. I think that's a bad idea. I don't think that will be received that well, frankly, but that's one option they have. The other option is for them to go and launch it on both the PlayStation launcher and Steam, but only their launcher supports cross-platform progression, so you can play on your PS5, pick up where you left off on PC, and vice versa. Only that will support maybe online play for their online games. I think that's a disastrous idea because you just want more players full stop for online stuff, so I think they should open it to everybody. But at the very, very least, I think they are launching the PC launcher, and they are going to try and find some way to compel people to get it over there. They might play hardball and just full on launch their stuff exclusively there. That's kind of my gut feeling, especially seeing how they responded to the Helldivers 2 backlash over the PSN login. I think that they're just going to be like, suck it up, deal with it, and just not give it any leeway. But as of right now, or up until now, it's just been speculation. However, there's been some updates. Let's look at this. So this is from Icon Era, a post that kind of summed up a lot of this. Sony plans to include PC launcher, cross-buy, cross-save progression with PC, PS Plus on Fire Stick, Roku, and smart TVs. He says, Spider-Man's 2022 PC version internal files showed they're planning not only trophies for PC, which we've seen recently added to Ghost of Tsushima's Director's Cut PC via PlayStation Overlay, but also showed they have a PC store/launcher in development with cross-buy, cross-save progression, and the launcher will be probably required to allow you to play the games on Steam. Like EA app is required for EA games, which justifies single-player games like God of War Ragnarok and Until Dawn now requiring PSN to play. You'll probably need access to the PlayStation launcher to play these games via Steam, just like you need a Social Club launcher to play GTA 5, for example. So, in other words, just repeating that, what they're probably doing is even if it launches on Steam, you'll still need the PlayStation launcher. So you'll hit play on Steam and then it boots the launcher and then the game starts. Why they do that? They will claim it's for like security reasons. They'll claim it's for reasons of like, I guess data capture, so they get your email logins and stuff like that. But the other benefit is that they can then potentially sell you things without having you go through the Steam route. So they could sell you either cosmetics for those games, they could sell you maybe even DLC, stuff like that, through their store, and then they don't pay Steam the cut. That's at least the hope. That's the hope, at least, for them. So they go on. They show a couple of screen caps to demonstrate this. This is from a VGC article. While neither Marvel Spider-Man nor any other PlayStation Studios PC game currently allows connectivity with PSN accounts, Spider-Man's files contain multiple references to PSN account linked and PSN account or PSN linked entitlements. And leaked Insomniac game files show they plan to put PS Plus back on smart TVs and now even Fire Stick and Roku devices with the codename Services 3.0. The future of PS Plus. Service 2.0 was extra and premium tiers added to PS Plus to replace PS Now in 2022. Services 3.0 aims to expand the vision for PS Plus. Wow. Become the most exciting and desirable entertainment membership service globally. Wow, that's a big deal. Wow. Brought in distribution. Get Plus on mobile. Can we create a services value proposition on mobile using 3P and 1P? I don't know what that means. 2 customers value add, utilize locally relevant commercial models. Plus on PC, could Plus expand our addressable market and be a major driver of live service engagement for PlayStation Studios and PC games and game streaming on mobile, smart TVs, and browsers. Get everywhere, fam. Get everywhere. Ooh, baby. So it seems like this is just a continuation of the broader strategy. I have no doubt they're adding a launcher. What form that takes is still up in the air. It could be totally exclusive, or they could also launch it on Steam, just requiring that login. It's hard to say right now. I think launching on Steam is the better option. But some people will still be upset about the launcher requirement, but I think that that's still, most people will just go along with it. In my humble opinion, I would guess that most people just go along with it. As for long-term implications of this, I think that you're just going to see Sony doubling down on PC more and more. If they do add cross-buy, which to be fair, is a very pro-consumer move. Right now, there is no option for cross-buy. If you buy a game on PS5, you have to repurchase it to play it on PC. If they add cross-buy, meaning you can buy it on PlayStation 5 and you still get access to it on PC, but only through their launcher, that could be a really good way, and I would say a more fair way, to encourage people to buy directly through the PlayStation launcher. Because say it's on Steam, just like a lot of these games, say it's on Steam, but it's $70 on Steam. And then it's also for sale on the PlayStation launcher, and it's $70. But if you buy it through the PlayStation launcher, you also get access to it on your PlayStation 5. All of a sudden, I'm considering getting it on the PlayStation launcher, not even bothering with Steam, because just there, I'm getting 2 copies effectively. Wow, I can play it on my PlayStation 5 upstairs and then come down, boot it up on my PC and pick up right where I left off. That's a much more convincing value offer than we'll just buy it on our launcher or get effed. You know, like that's much more compelling. And I think that that would be received much more positively. Because then if you want to buy it on Steam, go for it, but you lose out on a feature that is exclusive to their platform. And cross-platform buying is great. I love when Xbox calls it Play Anywhere, where you can purchase a game on Xbox and then boot it up on PC in the same way without having to buy it again. I think that's awesome. And frankly, I think that that needs to be more common nowadays. Like it seems outrageous that with the push for ubiquitous hardware, we're also not getting the push for, you know, broader copies being distributed, because the only limitation is whether the game publisher allows it. Like we're talking about digital copies. It's basically just flipping a 0 to a 1 to say you own a certain product. It really, like, it doesn't cost them anything. It's just a matter of whether they want to offer that in terms of value to their customers. And that's something that I think could win over a lot of PC gamers to start buying directly through their platform. $70 is too optimistic with prices going up. Well, that's a whole other topic, is whether they're going to try to raise prices in the next year or two again with the next generation. I think the odds are pretty high that a game like GTA 6 tries to make a move, tries to maybe push for ultra premium, like quadruple A pricing, where those games are like 80 or something. I wouldn't be surprised if they try to do that. Because a game like GTA 6 probably gets away with it. I don't think a lot of other companies get away with it, but I think a company like Take-Two with GTA 6 could probably get away with it. They charge 80. I think everybody still buys it. Beer's your friend. PC players do not have an Xbox, but many do own a PS5. Purchase a game once and you can play on either PS5 or PC. Love it. Yeah, I think it's a great idea if that's what they end up doing. Now, as of right now, it's still speculative. It's still up in the air. They might do it, they might not. But that is what is currently up in the air. Okay. So, yeah, fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. Hopefully they do that, but we'll see. I want Red Dead 3. I mean, one of the things we know is that Rockstar has hired environmental artists and artists to create assets for villages. And specifically, they found a guy who put in his LinkedIn profile that he was hired at Rockstar. He's working on an unannounced game, and he's working on developing medieval styled architecture and foliage and plant life and stuff for an upcoming project. Now, people looked at that and they were like, why would Rockstar, who's making GTA 6 next, why would they need medieval architecture? Why would they need medieval decorations and stuff produced? Why would they need that? Maybe it's just like a spin-off. Like, you remember with GTA 5 where there's the whole segment with like aliens invading when he's tripping on drugs and stuff? Before GTA 5, if you saw like a job listing leak where it says, oh yeah, I'm working for Rockstar and I'm responsible for designing aliens and flying saucers, you'd be like, oh, so a new IP after GTA 5 that's alien based. You know, people would try to connect the two and be like, oh, that's what that is. When in reality, it's just part of the game, right? And so for GTA 6, it's possible maybe there is like a medieval times location in GTA 6 that you can go to, and it's nothing more than that. It's just that one guy was designing models and stuff for the medieval theme park or whatever that's in the game. Maybe. Or it's a new IP. I think a lot of people are hopeful for a new IP. If they were to do something totally outside of their realm of comfort, totally novel and different, that could be super cool. I mean, imagine a medieval game from Rockstar. Like, I would lose my mind. But their games are multi-billion-dollar investments. So, like, they don't get to experiment. They don't get to just try something different. For them, they have to know that this is going to work. So if they are going to do it, I mean, it's because they're pretty confident in it, which is promising. So that's all we know about the next Rockstar thing. Is there's been speculation about that, but it could be nothing more than like you were saying in chat. Who was it that brought it up? Yeah, just call me Canon. Yeah, like you said in chat, it could just be a theme park, and that's it, you know. Or it could be a late 16th century pirate game. You never know. Okay, let's shift gears into this quick little retrospective. I just saw this clip come about, and I wanted to bring it up. Let me pull this up to. Okay, now I'm seeing tweets about. Yeah, now I'm seeing tweets about the sketch thing. I don't see what the big deal is, but I guess people are pissed about it. It's sad that somebody can be canceled for something so stupid, but that's where we are. Let's see. Where was this post? I'm trying to find one post that I wanted to bring up for you guys. Was it? Okay, I think it's that one. And then I think it was John. I think it's who brought it up. Rockstar will pull it from software, whatever they put up, people are going to buy it. Yeah, I mean, at this point, it's years and years of 10 out of 10 hits. Like, that goes a long way. But where is this damn thing? Man, I didn't realize this guy is like so terminally online. Jesus Christ. Wow, okay. I have to tackle that. Yeah, 2025 is going to be crazy. I'm telling you what. Like, buckle up, guys. It's going to be a lot. People care more about the sketch thing than the whole Dr. Disrespect thing. It's just sad. Yeah, well, apparently it's that Sketch had like he had like what, an OnlyFans or something before he blew up with streaming. That seems to be the drama, and so people are losing their minds and like trying to mock him. I don't know. Yeah, it's just internet drama. I don't know, with so much of this stuff, when there really is nothing bad that happened, like with Doc, of course, it's different, but when there's nothing bad that happened, like, you can only really cancel yourself. If he's just like, yeah, guys, it's whatever, and you just move on. Like eventually people just get bored and forget about it. The internet's memory is like collectively 30 minutes. Like they of course there's permanent logs of everything, but in terms of what generates conversation and dominates conversation, it really is not a big deal in the long run. In my humble opinion, I think he just shouldn't give it much credibility. So quick little, let's do this. New segment. So apparently there's drama in the world of Days Gone. Now my approach and opinion of Days Gone is that I think it was a game that got a bad rep. It was a really cool idea, and I think it just suffered from a few basic decisions in the early design of the game that just didn't click together. So like, for example, the horde system is the coolest thing about Days Gone, but you only really get to sink your teeth into it in the last third of the game, you know, in a secondary area that you unlock halfway through. And that's just a really weird decision. You know, it's just a really dumb idea in my opinion. I just don't think it's a good way to go, but, they hopefully have learned from that and improved it. But as a result, like a bunch of people and executives over at PlayStation weren't big fans of Days Gone. They didn't connect with it. They didn't want to back it up. And you see how they approach something like Horizon, which sold really well and that they're very proud of, versus how they approach something like Days Gone. Days Gone, they basically pretend like it doesn't exist when they do the big posters with all of their biggest PlayStation heroes on it. Deacon is nowhere to be found on it. They clearly are just moving on from Days Gone, acting as if it just never existed, which is weird because like there's a cult following for it. And so it's one thing if they're like, yeah, he's on our banners and stuff, and we're proud of Days Gone being in our lineup, but it's like we're not working on anything. That's one thing, but they act as though he's been canceled, like Deacon's been canceled and the whole game has been canceled and all this. And it's really, really bizarre. Now, there's a couple of reasons for that. I think that some of the directors and people that worked on Days Gone have they've ferociously defended the game. They've gone after it. They've spoken up on its behalf. They've said the treatment from PlayStation was unfair. They said it wasn't given the opportunities these other games were given. So no wonder it didn't perform on the same levels, but it's still a game and a franchise people love and care about, and it should be given more credit, blah, 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 blah. People have been fighting for it. Meanwhile, PlayStation corporate is totally uninterested in that, and the PlayStation or the Days Gone devs are trying to move on to something else. But the people that were working on Days Gone in the leadership roles, most of them, if not all of them, have left Sony Bend Studios out of Oregon, and they've gone somewhere else to work on other projects. Now, all of this is just drama. Like, there's just a lot of drama with it, and I don't really want to get engaged in a lot of the drama. I think the game was solid. I think it's underappreciated, but it's still not a masterpiece. I think of all the games, I think out of 2019 that deserved another, I think it was 2019, that deserved a sequel and a chance to expand on their ideas. I think Days Gone was one that deserved a chance, but I just think by itself in a vacuum, it's good. It's not great. It's not amazing. I'd probably give it like 7.58 out of 10, something like that. But I still really enjoyed it. Even if I've got problems with it, I still really enjoyed it. However, there's been posts by like Kevin McAllister, who you can see as community manager over at the studio. He, I believe, got his start being like a community hype up guy, kind of wingman for the game on social media. And then eventually was doing such a good job, they just decided to hire him. That's my understanding, at least. And so he's been working there and is a big fan of Days Gone, obviously. But he posted this on the 27th. I apologize to our Days Gone community for continuously getting fed false hope and poor information by people looking for likes. It's not fair to you all. This, I believe, is in reference to some people who have kind of planted seeds. Maybe there's a sequel, maybe there's not. You know, these are some random YouTubers, random streamers have said this kind of thing. People randomly speculating that they're working on a sequel secretly or a Days Gone multiplayer game or something. And he's just coming out and been like, nope, it's just not true. Quote, we are currently working on a new IP, and when we have actual news to share, it will come from our studio. And, you see people, is it multiplayer? It is. It's live service. Other people are saying, no, it's not. I heard it's open world with multiplayer mode or something. Nobody really knows. My guess is it's live service. There's been speculation going both ways, but my guess is it's probably going to have some sort of live service component to it. So in response, there's like one of the head honchos that worked on Days Gone, again, just getting involved with stuff. Haha, says the dude who hasn't developed a game in his life and only has his job because he was a super fan of the game I made. Sit down, son. I'm just reporting on the comments of fans who feel cheated out of a sequel to a game they love. I don't make the comments. So I guess maybe he feels he was responding to comments from John. And I tried to find the original comments, but there's just like so many tweets and stuff. I really don't know what he would have been specifically referring to. I really am not sure. Yeah, Days Gone trilogy plans confirmed by developer, and that's just not true. I think it was this, maybe. Never say never about a sequel after game director says exactly that. And it's probably like, I don't know. It's just all very, very much grasping at straws. But the fact that these articles exist demonstrate that there is a community that would like there to be a sequel, that would like that. Otherwise, there's nobody clicking. If it's totally uninteresting, nobody's clicking on the article. So at the very least, that demonstrates that there is some interest in the topic. But PlayStation's not interested. Sony Bend is moving on, whether they intended to or not. And so I think that's that. But it just seems like Days Gone has attracted a community into discussion that Sony doesn't want to engage with at all. And so they're just kind of shutting it down and pretending like it doesn't exist. Colin tweeted out this little video. It's a segment from their Sacred Symbols podcast saying, quote, Days Gone came to PS4 5 years ago, but drama still surrounds it. I thought it was great and would have liked a sequel, but the internal civil war at Bend post-release jettisoned its biggest champions, and the studio has moved on. It's time for everyone else to do the same. And this is generally what seems to be the consensus from people that know what's going on. The Sony Bend studio is moving on. They're working on something new, and they've just shifted away. The people who were the fiercest defenders of Days Gone, like John Garvin or other developers and directors of the project, they have also moved on, leaving the studio entirely. And so they obviously cannot be involved in a sequel now. It just seems like across the board, there's just no, there's no hope for that. So you might as well not get your hopes up too high.
Those guys in Bend are kind of rare in the sense that it's a really weird place to have a AAA studio, and a lot of those guys know each other and kind of bounce around. So anyway, I think John Garvin's a nice guy, and I've known him for quite a long. I met him for the first time a long time ago. He won't remember a lot of these things, but I interviewed him many years ago too, and then around Days Gone is when he started to kind of come more and be more out and actually speaking to people. But it is getting a little weird, the public contention that people like him and Jeff Ross, who was the lead designer of the game, and some other people have about a Days Gone sequel that didn't happen, and really the civil war at the studio that occurred.
And I think part of this, at least from what I've seen in social media in response to the discussions over a sequel, there is a subset of the gaming community that buys into the idea that the reason Days Gone was not allowed to be successful was because it was like a gruff white dude as the protagonist, and that didn't fit in with like the DEI desires for this and that. And in my view, I just don't know. Like, there were articles written where people were like, oh, it's just another gruff white dude. That's the last thing we need. But at the end of the day, if a game is successful because people bought it, the game's going to be successful. Like, that, it's going to find an audience. People will buy it. The problem was not enough people bought it. You know, if it sells 5 million copies, Sony's going to make a sequel. Like, it just doesn't matter if it doesn't check off these boxes, you know? So I think it's a bit of revisionist history to kind of look at it through that filter. Just the game was buggy. The game didn't really meet the quality standard people expected from PlayStation, and so it reflected kind of poorly on them. And as a result, a lot of executives just didn't want to engage with it that much. And then a lot of the lead designers and stuff started echoing some of those same, frankly, conspiracy theories about Days Gone and about why it wasn't loved by executives and this and that. And I think it's just generally not that it's not that helpful, because again, if the game sold well, it would have gotten a sequel, but it just frankly didn't. People just didn't really connect with it. It did well, like Ayuka is saying in chat, it did well once it went on sale, and once it was included, I believe, in PlayStation Plus for free. Then people played it and loved it, but people were just not willing to buy it at full price. And that's the core of the issue at the end of the day. It wasn't because Deacon was white. It wasn't because he was a dude. It wasn't because he drove a motorcycle. It's just frankly because people didn't buy it. And that's often all this that this really comes down to.
And I am I'm not put off by it because it's interesting, but it's just, I don't really understand why this is still going on. What happened at Bend, for people that don't know, and a lot of people wouldn't, is there was like a major civil war behind the scenes there. And the guy that ended up staying and kind of runs the team now, Christopher Reese, was kind of the guy amongst and his kind of cadre of people that won out. And I think the anger John Garvin harbors is because Days Gone actually did do really well. And it wasn't a critical darling, but it did sell a lot. And he had noted
specifically the stats I'm guessing Colin's referring to, unless he has numbers that are I've not seen and maybe aren't public. The articles and stats that show that it sold well and has garnered X number of copies and this and that, they also include the copies gained and the players gained through deep sales, promotions through like PlayStation Plus, things like that. So it's really hard to say how many of those people actually bought it at full price versus how many people were playing for free, how many people were playing because they got it for $10 on a deep sale. You know, it's just, it's hard to gauge exactly where the players came from, because a game can have a lot of players, but again, if they didn't buy the game, that doesn't mean a whole lot in the context of PlayStation's business. With Game Pass, of course, it's different, but Bend does not work for Microsoft.
on Twitter in this new recent kind of hullabaloo that Days Gone sold more copies than Ghost of Tsushima. And I think he was like, why did Ghost of Tsushima get a sequel and we didn't? Kind of mentality. And I kind of get the anger, but I think you have to harbor it within.
But again, I again, unless he's got numbers I've not seen and I've not seen made public, it's not sold more copies. I think it's specifically, it was referring to player counts, because I can try to find the original article. Unless I'm just like totally wrong about this, but I remember the original quotes and stuff. Yeah, so it's like this one is kind of bounced around it. January of 22. It was based on a post by Jeff Ross. He was the lead designer on the game. At the time I left Sony, Days Gone had been out for a year and a half and a month, and sold over 8 million copies. It's since gone on to sell more, and then 1 million plus on Steam. Local studio management always made us feel like it was a big disappointment. Let's see. This positioned against Ross, revealing Sony management considered Days Gone sales a big disappointment. According to the former Bend studio director, Days Gone would go on to sell over 9 million copies worldwide. Sony being disappointed with Days Gone sales isn't exactly new. Last year in 2021, a report claimed that Bend tried unsuccessfully to pitch Sony a sequel. According to the report, a lengthy development and mixed critical reception to the original game had Sony turning down the pitch and instead assigned Bend to help Naughty Dog develop their multiplayer project, which would eventually be canceled. Ross went on to reveal other details about the situation surrounding Bend in the replies to his original tweet above. While it was originally reported that Bend was assigned to develop Naughty Dog projects as well as a new entry in the Uncharted franchise, Ross seemingly pushed back against this notion, responding to a follower that nobody was forced to do anything at the studio. Additionally, Ross also claims to have heard anecdotes about Sony refusing to sell IP rights for Days Gone. Quote, "I've heard anecdotes they won't even sell the IP to another publisher." But when have they ever sold IP? That doesn't mean a whole lot to me, because when has Sony sold IP? Like that's some Embracer Group crap. I don't think Sony does that. I mean, the tough thing with this is like sold over 8 million copies, including the the deep sales. Because after a game launches with kind of poor critical feedback, it's tough to sell it for full price, obviously. I wonder if I can find this. Where's the PlayStation Store Days Gone? I wonder if we can use the Wayback Machine to see where it was priced at. Does anybody know of any tools that show like the long-term prices of PlayStation games? Is that a thing? I know Steam has it. Let's see, 2020, there were some. Maybe here. Nope, that's not a thing. Come on, Wayback Machine, come on. Loading. Yeah, so like here, this is April of 2020. It's 50% off. So again, you can say 8 million copies, but if a bunch of those were purchased at 50% off, like that, like every 2 copies, you basically divide the number by 2, and that's effectively what that means. Whereas Ghost of Tsushima has been pretty close to full price the majority of the time because it's so well received. I wonder what like 2019. They scrubbed it here. It takes forever to pull up, but see what the sales prices were like. For first week sales, it actually did better and was on par with the newer AC games. And also there were takes of AC1 confirmed. AC Black Flag. Oh, I think that's something else. Unable to find this page. So he was saying by a year and a half. Much like 2019. Maybe August. Try that. I mean, anyway, while this is pulling up, here's the deal. I would love for there to be a sequel for Days Gone. I would love it. I would be so excited if we saw that trailer drop randomly. I would love it. I'd eat it up. But I think that some of the discussion and discourse around Days Gone gets fairly conspiratorial, and it often takes anecdotes or little pieces of information. Yeah, still, remember when games were $60? It takes little pieces of information that are not that helpful and then tries to extrapolate that into a broader conspiracy that Sony doesn't like Days Gone and shut it down. Because here's the thing. The one thing about corporations is that they care about what? Money. That's the number one thing they care about. It's really, in many ways, the only thing they care about. Even the people that get all into like the DEI discussions, those people, it's still to try and attract investors to get more money, right? Like it's to try to get BlackRock to give them cash. So it still always goes back to money. And at the end of the day, if a game like Days Gone made a lot of money, they would make a sequel. Apparently, it didn't make enough money for them to feel confident a sequel would lead to any sort of significant kickback. So that could be for numerous reasons. It could be that they just weren't confident in the in the dev team. It could mean that they weren't confident in the dev cycle. Maybe the game was just taking so long to put together and they wasted so many resources that they're like, we just don't know if you guys have it in you. There were so many potential other factors that go into this. It's not that simple to just be like, we made a pitch and the game sold okay, or even like well or very well once it was put on sale. it's just sometimes not that simple. There's other considerations. So I would love for there to be some sequel eventually, but I think at the end of the day, it just seems more likely to say that Days Gone, for whatever reason, was not super profitable, didn't actually generate the profits that they were hoping for, and as a result, they weren't greenlit for a sequel, and that sucks. And they were kind of tossed to the side, and I think some of the infighting within the studio also led to them losing confidence in the studio, because why would Sony give a team that has a ton of infighting hundreds of millions of dollars? Like, they're probably not that confident that they're actually going to deliver the project that they want to see. So it's really too bad, because I just, there's little tidbits like this where you see it and you're like, okay, so why wouldn't they greenlight a sequel? It must be a conspiracy. When in reality, I think it's because, well, a lot of these were on sale. A lot of this just didn't click together. And I believe Jeff Ross even has a statement about that. Days Gone full price. We'll see if Google. Yeah, April of 2018, I think. Yeah, like this. He said here. Yeah, it was. Yeah, Garvin, who's no longer with Sony Ben, was asked if he heard Days Gone being added to PlayStation Plus collection on PS5 caused a meaningful uptick in engagement. And he replied, I do have an opinion on something that your audience may find of interest, and it might piss some of them off. See, the general vibe is that a lot of the devs that worked on it are just pretty ticked about how all this went down. He said, quote, if you love a game, buy it at effing full price. I can't tell you how many times I've seen gamers say, yeah, I got that on sale. I got it through PS Plus, whatever. I'm just saying you don't, but don't complain if a game doesn't get a sequel if it wasn't supported at launch. It's like God of War got whatever number millions of sales at launch, and, you know, Days Gone didn't. I'm just speaking for me personally as a developer. I don't work for Sony. I don't know what the numbers are. I can tell you that when we were doing Siphon Filter Dark Mirror on PSP, we got so effed on Dark Mirror because piracy was a thing and Sony wasn't really caught up on what piracy was doing to sales. And we would show them torrents. A torrent site had 200,000 copies of Dark Mirror being downloaded. If I remember it right, the numbers could be wrong, but regardless, I was pissed about it then. I was like, this is money out of my pocket. So I think the uptick in engagement with the game is not as important as, did you buy the game at full price? Because if you did, then that's supporting the developers directly. And to a certain, I mean, I think he's maybe aggressive in how he describes it, but like, he's right. If you want a sequel to a game, you got to buy it at launch for full price to show that you're excited for it. It's the danger with something like Game Pass or like Ubisoft games, where now it's like a meme. People know that if you don't buy a Ubisoft game at launch, wait 2 months and it'll be 50% off. Like, everybody knows it, right? Like, everybody knows it. And so, like, that's a problem because people won't buy it at full price because they're just going to wait for it to be on sale. So then the sales numbers are lower and then the profits lower and all this. But at the same time, there's so many games coming out and the economy's bad and inflation is insane and the price of full price games just went up. So now people are even more selective with what they spend $70 freaking dollars on. Granted, this was back when it was 60 before inflation really went crazy. We're talking about 2019 for Days Gone, so it was a different time. But in the modern context, it's just not as simple as, well, if you like the game, just buy it at full price. A lot of people don't have the money to do that. And there's even stories, like there was a really good one. Let's see, what was it? I think it was like, he phrased it as a service issue. Yeah, Gabe Newell. Piracy is an issue of service, not price. And basically what he was trying to say in this discussion on how to stop piracy, and bear in mind, this is the guy that runs Steam. Like, the greatest counter to piracy like out there. Like, this is the guy that would know the answer. He said the easiest way to stop piracy is not by putting anti-piracy technology to work. It's by giving those people a service that's better than what they're receiving from the pirates. The point, let's see, for example, Newell noted that Valve was warned against the Russian market due to its massive pirate community. In actuality, Steam offered easier access to games, more options, and higher quality downloads than its underground competitors, thereby turning Russia into the studio's most lucrative continental European market outside of Germany. Quote, the point was that people who are telling you that Russians pirate everything are the people who wait 6 months to localize their product into Russia. So that, as far as we're concerned, is asked and answered. It doesn't take much in terms of providing a better service to make pirates a non-issue. Which is crazy, like that he's just got this total like shut it down attitude with it. But all that to say, like, nowadays, I don't even know how we got on that topic. How do we get on piracy with that? It's a service issue. I don't know. Anyway, with all this, games are just more expensive than ever. People don't have the money to just guess that a game's going to be good, and when quality has been a consistent issue, it lacks or it challenges the consistency factor, so people become more doubtful. People don't want to put all their money on the line and all their eggs in that basket, so they just don't, and they wait till they get it on sale. So yeah, it's too bad. I wish Days Gone, I wish that story had ended differently, but it just seems like there were a lot of things that stacked, and more than anything, people bought the game, and when they bought it, they ended up liking it, but they bought it on a deep sale a year after launch. And for getting a sequel greenlit, that just doesn't do the job. Like for Sony, they're comparing Days Gone to their other games like you know, God of War or The Last of Us Part 2. Like, there are other PlayStation Studios titles, and for those games, they sell stupid well at launch for full price. And so Days Gone, obviously, in comparison, looks really bad. So they're like, well, it didn't perform like those, so you don't get to play with the big boys. You don't get the big boy budget. Yeah, James, I got it free on PlayStation Plus. Well, that's what I was trying to find. I was trying to find the article because I remember reading one. We might have even read it on stream where they said that the original quote for the 8 million number and the 9 million number, those were players, not sales. And so because of that, people saying that it sold 8 million copies, that wasn't actually true. There were 8 million copies out there that people had played, but a lot of those were probably deep sale or even free through PlayStation Plus. So it's not fair to conclude that, oh, well, it sold 8 million copies, where Ghost of Tsushima sold 8, after a year or two. It's just not the same. But this is why you gotta be very careful with the phrasing, because 8 million copies sold is very different than 8 million copies played, and Matt, yeah, you're also right, Matt. It feels like we're ignoring an important part of context, not taking into account for the budgets. Ghost of Tsushima had a tiny budget for that type of game. Yeah, Ghost of Tsushima is developed by a very small team, and they didn't have any of the dev troubles that Days Gone did. Days Gone had a bunch of trouble and was really buggy at launch, whereas Ghost of Tsushima apparently was pretty smooth sailing. It took a while to put together, obviously, but it was comparatively a cheaper game, and it was critically acclaimed, which they love. I mean, Sony loves having a critically acclaimed game. That's kind of their primary concern, it seems like, a lot of the time. Okay. Changing the thing. We're going right now on the YouTube video. That's super cool, Luke. Closing thoughts. I'm sad it's about to end. Change it. I'm sorry, Justin. I'm not sure what you're referring to. Sounds like the industry's bubble popped with the price versus cost. Yeah, I mean, more than anything, you just can't charge $70 for okay games forever and have people still going along with it while the economy's struggling and people are struggling. It just doesn't work. The math doesn't math. Like, they raised prices on games because inflation went up, so they needed to pay, or they needed to take more money in to pay for the more expensive games were to produce. But people, everything in their life has gone up in cost. And so everything has shifted, and it's just, you know, it's just tumbled from there. When I move my cursor over your video, it says closing thoughts. Honestly, maybe it might just be my computer being done. Sorry. Oh no, you're fine. I was just confused. I was trying to see, like, I wasn't closing my thought. I was still talking. I was like, do I need to get off? Am I being cut off? Oh. Yeah, Elden Ring's DLC is basically a whole new game for $40 from software already made 300 million from it. Yeah, I mean, it's huge. Honestly, after playing more of it, going through on a second run, the DLC is very good. I am kind of bummed at the like exploration. Like Elden Ring, the core game, you could go through a specific area 10 times and still find new stuff each time, and cool like trinkets or talismans, whatever. It feels like for the DLC, there's very little of that. Like, you run through, you get a bunch of smithing stones that are level 3 and 4 that you have 1,000 of already, and you have the bell bearings for, so you don't even need them. And after that, you've seen everything it has to offer. Like, there are some cool things where there's some, like, I think there was a larval tear I found that it only like spawns at nighttime, which is cool. So there's things like that that are cool, but it's very much a DLC. Like, if you're looking for more Elden Ring, it scratches the itch, but it isn't like a full replacement, you know? You just got to keep looking. You're not finding everything. Maybe I'm not. I don't know. There's some cool stuff that I found, but I've been so frustrated that you go through areas and like all the cool stuff you find are just more and more smithing stones. Like, I played the base game. I have bell bearings for all of these. Like, I don't need a smithing stone level 3. I don't need those. So why is that like 70% of all the stuff you find on the ground, you know? it like annoys me. But good thing the boss fights are good. Super tight. For me, the last boss of the DLC was really disappointing. I think it was mid in the whole DLC. Interesting fight. I mean, the final boss fight is like the ultimate DPS check, and if you've been going through, like, I saw one guy that was saying he didn't want to play on an easy mode, so he wasn't using any of the scatter tree fragments to upgrade. None of them. So his damage, I mean, he's doing like 100 damage to the final boss, and it's like, yeah, you're not gonna win, dude. Like, that's not gonna work. Like, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Yeah. It's like those types of people that are complaining about it. It's like I did see a TikTok from, I forget the streamer. I'm sorry, but I did see a TikTok from a streamer, and somebody was in his chat talking to him, and they were trying to get him to say, like, you shouldn't use summons. And they're like, well, can you at least agree that it's more impressive to defeat a boss without summons versus with? And he's like, yes, it is more impressive to play through the game without summons. It's also more impressive if you play it through without armor. It's also more impressive if you play through it with a level 1 character. It's also more impressive if you play it using